Hello lovelies, I am the Fragnostic and welcome to another edition of The Holy Truth. Tonight's game is Euclidean, which is, surprise surprise, a horror title from Steam, whose name is defined as, and I quote, relating to or denoting the system of geometry based on the work of Euclid and corresponding to the geometry of ordinary experience. Help, help, I need an adult. Pop Euclid into Google and you get this guy and his wonderful, wonderful beard. Oh, little guy's all tuckered out. Come on, let's let him sleep. While we delve into the black terrors of his psyche. As soon as you start Euclidean, you'll notice that your title menu is missing not only a title, but also a start button of any kind. There's options, stage select and quit, but no way to actually begin the game. I mean, I'm all for early access and that, but fucking hell, come on, let's have a go on it at least. You search high and fucking low, like, is it in the mountains, in the sky, on my shoes? No. Do I have to pick the first level from stage select? No. Is it in the options screen? No. But the difficulty options range from hard to impossible, so, you know, it's nice to know if we're having trouble defeating something that by the definition of the word cannot be beaten, we can always drop down to fucking nightmarish, you know, the kind of experience that makes kids wake up covered in their own fear piss. So after a while of poking around, you figure maybe the game messed up, so you quit and restart. Nice try, keep looking. This is needless, isn't it? You change the difficulty thinking that impossible just means that Euclidean removes the option to begin the fucking game, but nope, wishful thinking. Where is it? What is this shit? Have you ever known any title screen to be this bloody obtuse? Alright, so here's what you have to do. Right, see that moon? Yeah? Hold your mouse cursor on it. That's right, don't click it, don't just glance over it. Sit there and hold the cursor on it for a good couple of seconds and it will change into a swarm of black balls and start the game. What the actual shit? Now, in truth, there is a reason for this. Euclidean was designed primarily to be played on the Oculus Rift, so if you're using that, I assume all you'd have to do is look up and the game would begin. But it's certainly not that bloody simple if you're a PC peasant and haven't signed up to the VR Master Race just yet. I mean, would the word start really have ruined the atmosphere you were going for here? Would it? Good lord. Right, let's play the actual fucking game now, shall we? Yes. Euclidean is what's known as a faller, which, if you have yet to be acquainted with this genre, does pretty much what the name suggests. You start at the top of the stage and you fall to the bottom, avoiding objects and enemies along the way while shooting for the landing pad at the level's end. If you think of a game like for the awesome at the breathless high octane end of the spectrum, Euclidean sits broodingly on the other as you drift downwards at a speed best likened to that of a wounded snail through treacle, while some sort of eldritch horror taunts you endlessly with the hopelessness of your existence. To escape the monsters that lurk in this abyss, you use an ability called Phase, which temporarily allows you to pass through their patrol patterns where dodging them isn't an option. It only works for a few seconds at a time though, so you have to pick and choose its usage wisely and hope that you don't rematerialise in the middle of one of them, or more commonly, shift back just in time for one of their mates to steam in and take you out. Making life both more atmospheric and difficult for you is the thick fog that invades each stage, like Lovecraftian hell really needs to be thinking about switching to fucking solar paneling or something. While you'd have to say that the game has nailed the look of its forbidden otherworldly dimension where man was not meant to wander, you spend the vast majority of it staring down between your legs to see which uncanny panic beast you're about to land on. And compared to the gorgeous visuals around you, the sight of your ghostly green body posed in its default model stance looks a little bit hokey. It's not a massive distraction, but I think Euclidean would have benefited from its absence to add to the immersion, or if it needed some sort of character reference point, a pair of arms would have sufficed as if falling belly first. Maybe the ability to do like barrel rolls and spinning tucks too. Maybe some coins to collect, and a button that lets you go whee! Am I joking? I really don't know anymore. There are 9 stages to plunge through here, each of which the game attempts to separate out into their own distinct themes. The first few levels bleed together a little bit, but once you progress to around the midpoint, the design really starts to switch up. In the descent, you'll navigate a spiral staircase, jumping between hugging the inner wall so you don't touch the deadly floor or the Rubik's Cube squid, and then fleeing the inner wall when the killer shrimp smell your filthy mortal blood and pop out to play. The snarl pits you against the level itself as a giant writhing dread squid, its tentacles flicking and curling unpredictably at you from one wall to the next, while the embrace forces you down the centre of some sort of arcane skyscraper used as a freeway by limbless prehistoric sea bastards. Many of the enemies remain the same in these levels, and every time one eats your soul, you get a nice little visual cue of what got you. You'll usually have to die a couple of times in a level to get a sense of where the monsters are, but the main frustration in Euclidean comes not from its enemies, but from the endings of its stages. To finish a stage, you have to get within range of one of these glowing platforms. It doesn't have to be exactly dead on top of it, the game's quite generous with that, but they can be incredibly difficult to spot through the fog and the mist, usually not appearing until it's much too late to make it over there, leaving you to fall past them and die on the floor below. And sometimes they'll signal you their location with Morse flashes before you see them properly, but if your path through the level is taking you over to the wrong side of it, you'll never get over there in time. In the stage The Battle, the game intentionally obscures the exit from you while fucking taunting you about it. It's incredibly aggravating to have to slog through it all over again, and I do mean slog, because some of these go on for fucking ever on account of how slowly you move, just because you had to drift over one way to avoid something and didn't have the foresight to switch back before it was too late. Despite these very minor annoyances, Euclidean is a journey very much worth the taking for its meagre asking price. Once you fall into the quirks of the gameplay, it's an incredibly captivating, almost hypnotic odyssey into geometric oblivion, aided massively by its bleak ambient soundtrack. It's not a difficult game by any means, there are methods available to make it more challenging, such as a permadeath mode, but this is far more about the experience than it is about any sort of traditional adversity. I'll upload a straight run through without commentary a little bit later so that you can experience it for yourself if you want to, but if you're teetering on whether or not to drop some money on Euclidean, I highly recommend doing so. Well, that's it from me on this edition of The Holy Truth. See you again soon, yeah? Fragnostic here. If you want to join me on the holy quest to smite all evil, then click the subscribe button on the left there and I'll get Blacksmith to knock you together some armour and that. If you want to know what you're letting yourself in for, you can check out some of the other adventures on the right there as well. Cheers, lovelies.